This book was chiefly written for people who had some interactions in such thing as a meme world. You can look for more information about this stuff in the link in the description. So these people who belonged to this community, they will understand things what I am talking about much better than anyone else. But I think it could be still interesting for you. So let's talk a little bit about about some general information of this country. So now it is called as Mikhailian Imperial Tea Dictatorship, but earlier it was called as Mikhailian Empire. Capital was Maksyushkove or and Shlepograd, oftenly them both. It was changing over time. Time of existence was from December of 2019 to... it's difficult to say. Ideology, it has two parts of its ideology. The first moral ideology is respectivism. It means trying to make everyone polite and respectful with each other. Also, there was peaceful imperialism, which means promoting culture and other stuff of occupied nations while offering them advanced technologies, military protection from other countries, and protection of law based on respectivism and humanist ideas. The economical ideology was mixed economy or centrism. Usually people create their private companies, but sometimes government might regulate economy or create companies by itself and promote their plans. Also, there are many free services for citizens only. The form of rule is democratic monarchy, and maybe we can call it as oligarchy. There are usually one or a few emperors, dictators, who make the most of decisions, but if the decision is more important, they're adopting some law about behavior. It has to be discussed with whole population. Firstly, ME existed in real world, but without territories. Most of interactions happened in different places of the earth, chiefly within Odessa, where I was, and I used it to try to integrate people to the empire and make them obey its laws, and wage wars against other organized or unorganized people. In war, usually were used quite and serious kinds of weapons, from snowballs to backpacks, etc. During those times, there was established ideology of respectivism. It was earlier called as Mikhailism and peaceful imperialism. Based on this era in Mimir were established the first cities of ME. Maksyushkove was the place of the first school that I attended, because there I found the most people who honored Maksyushka. After Thuringia was the place of judo section I attended. I called it so because of the strong discipline that was present in them. Shlepograd was the lyceum I attended after this first school. I called it so because their flopa as a meme was the most popular. Thanks to the city, there were established a main national dish pelmeni, and by decision of whole ME population, national beverage lemonade. Pretty interesting combination, isn't it? Also at autumn of 2021, by referendum, there was decided to make Ukrainian language the official one in the empire. At the start of Russian invasion in Ukraine, I was too far from my citizens to interact with them. So when I found out that there exists a YouTube country like MSSR, with elections, I was quite curious, and when it became monarchist with the Flopa as an emperor with the name Great Memeland, I decided that it would be a great ally. But I haven't realized quite yet what my world is and how do the wars and other things happen. Therefore, I was often mocked by some individuals due to using my world of some primitive things that I used in so-called by myself childish world, this premier era I was talking about. History of ME between April and July of 2022. For a reason, that idea of creating APFM, APSHD, so APSHD, which it is it is it is abbreviature of the name of alliance, call it as Alliance Pro-Flopian Movement, APFM. So, for a reason that idea of creating APFM was mine, I was owner of it for first two. I was owner of its first two Discord servers. I even established some respectivist rules in the alliance. I even can write their demands to country to join the alliance from memory. I have made them by myself without asking anyone's opinion. The first is don't be totalitarian, especially Nazi, communist or Russist. The second, be pro-Flopian. The third, advertise Mr. Red or someone's YouTube channel in alliance on your YouTube channel. And there also were rules of behavior inside the alliance server made in the same way. The first is don't use imprecation. The second is don't propaganda LGBTQ. Maybe something else, I don't remember. Okay, so at those time also ME, as many other countries of APFM, took part in the First Meme World War on the side of Philippine Empire. There was a civil war or rebellion or riot, different people thought differently. After the elections, and many people wanted to turn communist rule or establish democratic rule. This movement was supported by many other countries, even not communistic, such as Ottoman Empire or Rau Slav Commonwealth. It was German and Northern Germany, and possibly Poland, and had war with CMDR, Cat Meme Democratic Republic. Eventually, APFM won. ME was trying to influence on or incorporate other countries, especially leaders of what were citizens of ME for some while. In this way, we incorporated MPFF, meme payments from FOPA. This was a very tiny country, which has a little part of central Ukraine and something near the Bukovina. And after that, I became a president of CMDR with the help of APFM. There were elections and I won. It led to civil war in CMDR, where we won and renamed it as CMSDF, Cat Meme Social Democratic Federation, because I suggested that in CMDR it would be better to make some social democratic rule. Okay, so federation it was because there emerged Chiki-Bamboni Republic during the Civil War, which wanted to separate, but eventually became a part of CMSDF. Later in the Babur Empire came to power emperor whose name was Vlad, and it was in the Scandinavia, and it was renamed as Monarchist Babur Empire. And he decided to conquer CMDR because some former citizens of it criticized his YouTube videos. With that, he also decided to conquer Katissia, and therefore ME with other states in APFM started war against MBE, on side of which this MBE was alliance called I know only Russian abbreviature, Dotins, D-O-T-I-N-S. I don't know the translation. This is how... Okay. By the way, in the Civil War of CMSDF, on the side of revolutionaries, so-called beer lovers, was also Osmanocate Empire, which we also conquered or demilitarized, something like that. So about those times, 3DR, this is a country which was led by the same guy who was leader of MPFF. By the way, MPFF it is an abbreviature which means Mem Pelmenis from Pop. Okay, I got it. So MPFF, it was this guy who was leader from MPFF. He decided that he will create another country, call it 3D Republic. And we didn't like it because he decided to be our citizen, and in our laws it was written that he cannot he cannot go away from country after 30 years from this moment when he was living there. So about those times, VDR wanted independence, and because their government started to write some diplomatical stuff against ME, we considered it as a threat, and destroyed their warehouses of weapons. Then I decided that it isn't worth it to keep 3DR as a satellite. Yes, we allowed them to become satellites because we didn't need their territory that much. But then they wanted independence, and there happened things which I described earlier. So yes, they wanted independence with pertinacity, and for that reasons, and also some members of APFM also wanted them to be independent. So I consented to recognize their independence and promised to pay compensation for destroying of these warehouses of weapons if 3DR promises to attack not ME for at least 3 months. And in this way, Kotisia, a country situated in the Finland, promised to protect ME in case of a 3DR, later 3D Empire aggression. There was also war against Mem Ukrainian Republic, which was somewhere Germany, which claimed that it has Vladimir Zelensky in their capital. This man was leader of former MSSR, so this is a communist precursor of Flop Empire. And therefore, FE Flop Empire with other participants of APFM, including ME, started invasion. We won, and I don't know what did ME gain, possibly some money, and CMSDF very likely made in Memlin, the capital of MUR, its own satellite. As a result of Second Meme World War, this is a war between APFM and Dotins, we conquered MBE, and Kotisia conquered Union of Ukrainian Bands, which were allies of MBE. And Nyanland conquered Alaska. I don't know which country it was, but okay. I just know that. So we gained autonomy to B due to some circumstances, but many people of B didn't regard it, and they reported that they have done some violence to people of CMSDF or ME, and eventually we consented to give them independence, but they had to pay compensation to us. We got independence after about a month from SMWR, about middle or late July, when we already were enemies of APFM. In the early July, it turned out that the leader uh, of Flop Empire, his nickname is Catley, is Nazi in real life, and we became very angry with that. Also, he the same day said that he is god of Mimir and decided to turn FE in Communist Flopper Republic. After that, he claimed that he deleted and conquered countries such as ME, Republic of Schnappi, Kotisia, Redboria, etc. No country in EPFM excepting CFR recognized this thing, and so we decided to attack CFR and bring their monarchy. We call this war as a Great Memtriotic War, Велика Мемчизняна Війна in Ukrainian. By the way, MUR also participated in the war on side of CFR, and they used their fleet to slow down our offensive towards Pelmensk, CFR capital, and also capital of FE. We have seized the Pelmensk and agents of Kotisia and Redboria, freed Flopa II, because it turned out that he was a captive of communists and that this thing started due to their communist coup. Then I decided to incorporate CMSDF to Mikhailian Empire and started a referendum for that. Most of the population was against this, but they didn't vote against for some reason. When I allowed to vote only people of CMSDF, and their results were 50-50. So I decided to allow people from other countries to vote also, and their results became very close to the same, but one more vote towards incorporation. So 5 against 6. So 5 against, 6 for. But since most of the population of CMSDF was actually against Republic, Shikibambon separated, and some secret oppositional forces of CMSDF have agreed with Tabunov Empire country, which situated in France, to start the rebellion in this part. Even Latin American republics somehow support rebels. So situation was difficult to control, because there were uprisings in different regions. So we agreed to make the second referendum, and then CMSDF gained its independence. But many countries were angry with this attempt to seize CMSDF, and they decided to also attack ME and partition it. And they thought that they did it because they claimed that Emperor of FE had a power to delete countries. But I didn't agree with that, because I claimed that they have to confront with me and my army directly to conquer my country. So I deleted every member of a PFM whom I was suspecting of any aggression against ME, because considered it as a breaking the rules of alliance. Countries which used to be in APFM created a new Discord server where made Flopa the owner, and they ceased to recognize ME as an independent country, and therefore it means end for any diplomatic relationships. These wars between countries that used to be part of APFM against ME, these wars which happened, which occurred between July and September of 2022, in Mikhailian literature traditionally is called as Mikhailian War for Dignity. Since these happenings we didn't have any real allies in the first weeks after breakup with APFM. Focus was on making propaganda to find allies who agree with my opinion about recent events. on internal policy, and on military strengthening by making new technologies. Happily, this political problem didn't lead to a big economical crisis, because we didn't import things a lot from other countries. We had some internal conflicts with autonomous minor nations such as Communist Meme Liga and Pshedia, with Pshedia was in late spring. Usually such confrontations are ended with leaders of these nations leaving Mimir, but if they had some inhabitants, they might enjoy rule of ME and stay there. As an example, I can introduce you story of relationships with CML. Once upon a time, its leader wanted to create a country in Europe, but there was no free space, so I proposed them to get autonomy in some tiny part of ME. He have chosen southwestern Bulgaria. They were developing well, made even atomic weapons, but when there started Great Patriotic War, they wanted to support CFR, and it led to restrictions in autonomy. And when we became enemies of APFM, he lost any interest in being an autonomy, tried to conquer Iceland, and left from Mimir. But we got their technologies, atomic weapons, and populations because of legislative system of Michaelian Empire. That's a profit. So I am a very evil British, Jewish, Anglo-Saxon, German, American thief. When there emerged OUMR, Organization of United Meme Republics, I also criticized Ketley's claim. Ketley is a guy who created MSSR, FE, these countries, and he was claiming that because his YouTube channel was one of the reasons why Mimir was created. He claimed that he is a god of this Mimir and he can delete every country he wants and make any rule he wants without agreement with other members. Something like that. So he created OUMR and he claimed that any country that doesn't join this organization will be deleted from Mimir. I considered that it is much wiser to give opportunity to users to exist because they might have not opportunity to have Discord, and it will make Mimir more entertaining that there are some hidden countries which we might not know. So after a while we improved our relationship with Babur Empire that used to be in Scandinavia, or it is also called as Babu Kvassia, after it was conquered. Later we joined into another anti-pop organization. I am not quite sure about the name, but perhaps Black and White Union. There were users such as a leader of Black and White Empire, which was roughly situated in China and it was conquered by 3D Empire, and a leader of Cat Republic of Egypt, Nishomar, and other people I don't remember quite well. So PFM was during that time already completely ruined, and countries such as Red Borea and Republic of Dead Insides, this country was situated in roughly Italy, and Red Borea was roughly about territories of Austria-Hungary. So they both were deleted or conquered. Therefore, their relationships with us slightly improved, but we still didn't want to call them as allies, because still considered them as traitors. Tabuno Empire also got deleted or conquered in OUMR, but its emperor didn't recognize that and made a map where he conquered many parts of the world, including ME. So for a while he considered us as his autonomy and even made some kind of currency for us. We accepted his investments in economy but didn't recognize his superiority. And later he also recognized our independence. After that, in OUMR happened an interesting event. Due to attack of 3D Empire on some ally of Flopa Empire, FE Catley deleted 3DE. But many countries got angry at that and declared war on FE. I also decided to use this chaos, and so we agreed with Cat Republic of Egypt and Iraq Cat Sultanate to attack United States of Toilet to get its territories. This country was in roughly Turkey, and they and they that and they were in APFM. They were in APFM, and they were very anti-Mihailian, and so we decided that they deserve to be partitioned for things they have done to us. So we have made this agreement, and at this time Mishkumar was an administrator of a server of OUMR, and he had power to seize bans from user. So he allowed everyone to join server of OUMR while Catley was offline, and while most people protest against FE, I also gave order to start invasion on UST. After these events, UST government proposed to sign a peace treaty and forget about anti-Mihailian things he have said and done. I agreed, showing him map of partition of UST, and surely he wasn't happy about it and considered himself as in war with ME. So this peace treaty failed. Also, ME experienced peak of psychiatric activity. It was used for Yentegdik. Yentegdik was one of the military generals of CMDR, and when I became president there, he started civil war, and he even started civil war twicely, and then he went to Yugoslavia, and we captured him and sent him to psychiatric clinic because he was behaving very unnormally. Okay, and there was also established a Maxurian Hell as psychiatric clinic. So there emerged this religion which worshipped Maxushka, my cat, and the hell in this religion is a psychiatric clinic for people who liked Catley, his politics, and were against ME. Very good. Okay, so with that also there started short heyday of Discord entertainment system of ME. Was created Imperial Private Circus, and I assigned Catley were as a main clown when he joined our server. Later there joined some other pro-Flopian anti-Mihailian individuals, what made ME more popular around the world, and they also became clones in my circus. We improved our relationships with TE, Tabuna Empire, and they started building towns and cities on our territory. We also found some other allies and trade partners such as ASCR, All Unions News Communist Republic, and Cat Empire of Sudan. Almost during those times, CRE, Cat Republic of Egypt, got occupied by other countries. Its government even recognized it. And some of its army moved to ME to prepare together to the war against FE to also liberate CRE. I also created an organization as an alternative to OUMR, Organization for Aid and Negotiations Between Nations of Mem World, so OANNM. It didn't require any country to be recognized, didn't forbid making any policy on YouTube, made plans to fight FE, or it at this moment became European Union of Democratic Flopper Empire, and worked on creating actual de facto map of meme world. As a consequence of presence of people from different countries in ME, it led to creation of different Discord servers responsible for distinct regions or cities of ME. That means some decentralization. Even some cities had laws and contradict ME constitution, but we allowed it. It brought also some positive results, such as introducing new smelts, forward technologies, economical inventions, such as atomic reactor that makes iron from other chemical elements. Also worth it to be noticed that there started living in ME ants, who made metropolitans and many inhabitants of former mem hackers from Beluga. Such a country was in Kuwait, and it is like MHFB. So its inhabitants moved to ME after it was conquered to find new lands for their country. Near the end of summer, Taboret Chair Confederacy, which was situated in Greece, declared war on us, and we won in this war, and we got territories that Bulgaria had between First and Second Balkan Wars, in real life, of course, and conquered islands of Aegean Sea, establishing democracy in TCC. It turned into Taboret Chair Armchair Democratic Confederacy, so TCADC. We also required from them to pay compensation for attacking, but they couldn't for a long while because they were poor. But after elections they became anti-Mikhailian again and created alliance against us and monarchy as a whole. But because very few countries recognized it and radicalism of it, no one joined. And later there started communist revolution, and later there revolted people who wanted to make TCADC a part of ME. Obviously, we, Tabunov Empire, and even some Ben-respectivist country in Benelux supported them. Our trade partner ASCR supported communists, and also Buchland supported them. Buchland was a country which was situated somewhere in Yugoslavia, and it was led by Yentegdik. When the war was approaching to the end, Buchland started invasion to northern Greece and captured Stoloniki. So it's like Saloniki, but in the name, in the manner of this Taboret Chair Confederacy. So chair, it will be like stool in Russian, so Stoloniki. So they captured Stoloniki for a while, but we kicked them away and suddenly conquered Yugoslavia to make any Buchland's threats go away. As the next things we were working on communicating with oppositional forces of Flopa Empire, and in this way, therefore, such cities as Membrest, it was former Memestopol, so it is like Sevastopol, but it was Memestopol, and then it was recalled as Membrest. Okay, so Memgrodno, it was a new city created for rebels on the Cuban, but very close to Crimea. And Lягушатsk, this was a new city somewhere around Voronezh. while negotiating with bands. This is one kind of people who lived in Forpa Empire, about acting together against FE. After these preparations were ready, we allied with Republic of Tajik Bins, Tabunov Empire, CMSDF, Iraq Cat Sultanate, Dutch Syndicate, which was situated in the South Africa, and rebels of DFE. DFE, it was at this moment a new name of Forpa Empire. It was called as Democratic Forpa Empire. We declared war on FU, Forpa Union, because this DFE, it united with Northern Cat Empire, which was somewhere in Siberia, and they created a Forpa Union together. And we declared war on Forpa Union, and started the invasion at 1st of September. We conquered many territories and involved in war big fraction of our army, including Liberation Army of CRE and MHFB, and Army of Kermit Empire. But despite our advances, DFE and a few countries that supported it made a coup in Memorist administration. Memorist, it's like a mem-world name for Bucharest, so it is somewhere in Romania. It was our big city, and so some countries they found some collaborationists in Memorist, and they took this city for a while, occupied this city. They occupied its administration. And for a few hours they controlled part of our territory, but we operatively retrieved it. At 21st of September, government of Forpa Union started negotiations with me that led to their capitulations. History of Mikhailan Empire between end of September and November of 2022. As a result of war, we gained southeastern Ukraine, Kubань, Belgorod, Voronezh oblasts, Caucasus, Syria, and we also got a new satellite in Middle Asia, Simpa Republic, which was created by people who were inhabitants of MHFB, hackers from Beluga. What can I also tell? And also there was 3D Empire, which controlled Korea, and after a while they also collapsed due to internal troubles, and we also conquered Korea. It wasn't only in Korea, it was in plenty of territories. They had Japan, Italy, China, Korea, really plenty of territories, Mexico, I even don't remember all of them. So something like that. When the war ended, we made Ushlyopskie Igry, they were called so, and it's our kind of Olympic Games, as a celebrations of our victory on Forpa Union. After that, there were some worsening in relationship between TE and ME, and it looked like there is gonna be a war, while in northwestern Russia emerged country named as UHSR, Union of Hacker Socialist Republics, which was expanding on south and east. But suddenly Tabunov Empire left meme world, and it was replaced by Rech Benistovska. It's like Danish way to call Rich Pospolita, which is Polish, Lithuanian Commonwealth in Ukrainian. We are not so much afraid of Rich Benistovska because they emerged recently and had to do something to organize rule on such large territories. So there were 5 kinda big shoots in meme world after that. ME, UHSR, RB, DS, and ASCR. Dutch Syndicate didn't do a lot in external policy because it gained lands 3-5 times more than it used to have after the war with FU in Africa. And it needed plenty of time to establish stable rule on it, and RB also behaved like a regional country for a similar reason. So when most of modern Russia was taken by strong countries, USSR decided to conquer SR, Simple Republic, and it partially succeeded by conquering eastern half of it and establishing their Simpa Democratic Republic. But soon in SDR started democratic revolution and SR started a new offense on the territory of SDR because it used to be part of SR. Where I threatened USSR that if they keep staying on SR territory, ME will declare war on it, and supported SR with weapons and with some regular army. So USSR consented to retreat from SR. After that, in Algeria emerged a fascist country called Counter-Strike, and they tried to negotiate with us to attack ASCR, but we didn't want to do it because considered them as allies and they were kinda strong. We also started Maxurian missionary on ASCR, and some of their people converted to Maxurianity and started to worship Maxushka, but later it became much less popular when the relationship with ME became worse. Also, there happened such a thing that in old news communist republic happened a coup, and there to the power came imperialists and renamed their country as Snus Empire, and they decided to conquer USSR. And we protected USSR, started invasion in SE, and we made communists to return to power in SCR. Despite we were not communist, but Snus Empire was very unsafe. It was going to use some nuclear weapons to bomb our other countries, so we decided to help USSR to defeat it. And therefore, USSR gratefully transferred to us northern coast of Caspian Sea for our aid. But after ideological wars, there were political wars. They were based on individual political views about Russian invasion in Ukraine. Such guys as me, Simpai, he was a leader of SR, which also about that time became part of ME without autonomy. Leader of Dutch Syndicate and possibly leader of Social Federative Republic of Cubicia. It was somewhere in Brazil, and it emerged after war with FOPA Union. So we are supporting Ukraine in that conflict via leader of CS. I think he's actually an account of president of ASCR, leader of ASCR himself, Ultrazvukovый Tomat, and some of his citizens supported Russian policy, while such people as Hector Karakalov was unsure about his political position. Sometimes he was rather pro-Russians, sometimes more pro-Ukrainian. And there surely were some guys who just laughed at these political discussions, and that's all. And so when these discussions arose, it led to aggression of ASCR, and there mostly were conflicts between ME and ASCR. There were used even some nuclear weapons, and all of these conflicts eventually led to that leader of ASCR claimed that he destroyed the mem world, and de facto retired. Also, this conflict led to some cyber attacks to some Discord servers that are somehow related with Mikhailian Empire, especially such things that are related with Maxurianity. And so in result of these political conflicts, there were no territorial changes, only diplomatical changes, which surely will lead to some territorial changes in future. And now I can tell about history of Mikhailian Empire from late autumn of 2022 to mid-autumn of 2023, even later actually, to nowadays, I would say like that. After these things we found out that there exist some countries under the earth and could even make a map of it. And also some countries that were destroyed by atomic weapons are existing in kind of place called waterfall, and that we also examined. These countries were, by the way, chiefly India, Pakistan, and maybe some other islands about we don't know that they did exist on the earth. So at this moment there were emerging many countries such as Confederation of Goose-like Birds and the Chechnya Ichkeria. Particularly these countries have moved to the upper land and were new nations for us, and we started some diplomatic relationships with them. Also, after a coup in the Trump's empire, it was seized by Chechens. By the way, Trump's empire, it was a country which was in the western part of USA chiefly, and partially Mexico. So it was seized by Chechens. There arose an American national idea that led to recovery of such an old country as meme states of America. It was in the eastern part of USA. And therefore there started many Chechen American wars, and we also interfered there, examining situation, drawing maps, and supporting usually Chechnya. We even established our radio in territories about Texas to make our propaganda there and use it for our profit, and had nearby part of regular army that examined everything what happened and sometimes gathered some resources and technologies. Also, Babel Kwasia came to active living and became an ally of Mikhailian Empire. They didn't worship Maksyushka, but they joined Respectivist Pact, a war alliance that was created in mid-autumn of 2022. And there until that moment were only ME and UHSCR. By the way, it was a former UHSR, and was socialist changed into a communist. In Confederacy of Goosish Birds, who settled in Afghanistan, suddenly came to power Japan's imperial doges, and they heard these birds and ate them. Therefore we invaded them and made them a part of Mikhailian Empire. Also we made some explorations of mem rooms. It's kind of back rooms in mem world, which ended up in gaining a few colonies in the level which was made just of lemons. Nextly, the world started colonizing other planets, and we got some colonies at Venus and Moon and made a map of it. Near these things, Dodge Syndicate finally became a big world power, trying to expand. Therefore, we supported the oppositional movements and even supported Maxurian Crusade, led by Maxurian people who lived in Sahara Desert. It was started because Maxurians were oppressed in this country and they tried to increase influence of their Doge religion. This crusade wasn't successful, but when there started democratic civil war, it was partially successful because Dogia, at the time Doge imperialism, a new ideology which was there, became temporarily neutral about ME, and their focus used on expanding in North America, fighting with MSA. Eventually, Mem States of America was was partitioned between Chechen Union of Soviet Socialist Republics, so CHUSSR, and it was this previous Chechnya, but it became communist for some reason, and between Dutch imperialism. But MSA was very well developed in cosmos exploration, and it led to the thing that united with some other civilizations, they became part of so-called alliance of systems. And there were some cosmic wars with that, also where we protected the Earth. Also in Mikhailian Empire happened a few rebellions. We decided to make the elections to choose the governor of Bosphoric Iron City or Zelgrad Oblast. It was in western Turkey, in western Anatolia to be more precise. And there one national communist, Unitas Slobodenko, who proclaimed independence of this region, and we successfully returned it to ME. Surely using some weapons. Also in Korea there were pro-3D rebellions and rebellions of people who wanted Korean independence. They both have taken some territories, but when our army came, most of them just kicked the bucket. The representative of Middle Eastern cats demanded, Middle Asian, Central Asian cats, to be more precise, they demanded independence from ME in early spring. And after some debates, we accepted that with these demands. ME doesn't take away its army from this new country, call it Cat Confederacy, and respectively Middle Central Asian cats who were in ME army are still there unless they go away by their own will. Cat Confederacy doesn't trade or support trade with or support any other countries that are enemies of ME. There has to be free exchange of technologies from both countries, promising to protect each other. After that, there in Lovesburg in Syria emerged so-and-so political cat called Maxwell that wanted independence of this oblast. We made a referendum and they gained independence. But it lasted not for a long while because we retrieved it back to ME and promised new buildings to protect territory, and with emergence of CHUSSR who wanted to get part of this oblast. There also emerged a nation called Flopuses, and we all allowed them to create a satellite entity called a Flopus Republic. It was at the northern Yugoslavia. Near the time, in the context of Mikhailian Dutch Cold War, we have taken over Yemen and made their joint with ME and Babel-Quasi a satellite called as Respectivism u берегов Afriki. In English, it is like respectivism near coast of Africa. It was called so because there's a Ukrainian joke with the name of country Cuba in real world that can be interpreted as in Ukrainian communism у берегов Америки, which is translated as communist at coast of America. And so we decided, as a parallelism, we decided to make respectivism у берегов Африки. So it is like Ruba. Indeed, it is translated as respectivism near the coast of Africa. You got it, okay. So also we asked Schlopland country that was at Ethiopia and Somali after war with FU to place our rockets there to be ready to attack Dutch Syndicate if necessary. After that we conquered Western Sahara because its leader about a year ago, in early autumn of 2022, proclaimed that he becomes part of ME, but we ignored it up to this moment, because we decided that now we need this territory. We also did something with Oman, which was a colony of Qadisiyah, and did so to get more gas and oil. There also emerged a big union called as Union of United Great States, to which joined a very big part of the world. And it made the game very uninteresting, but it did one important thing, that it have defeated Alliance of System, or at least it have protected the Earth from Alliance of System. Yes, it have made the game very uninteresting, as claimed some countries, especially UHSR. By the way, at this moment it turned in UHCE empire, so instead of republics he became like a union of hacker communist empires, like that. There was also a country in Ural called as HCR, Hacker Cosmic Reich Commissariat. So they were trying to conquer all the countries that were in UUGS, and by the way, also UHCE wanted to conquer Ukrainian part of Mykhailean Empire, because they wanted to have Black Sea, because they wanted to be near the Black Sea. And so at the same time UUSG wanted to end with dominance of ME and maybe together with UHCE, and therefore it was very confusing. It was like a war of three sides, something like that, and therefore it was very confusing, and we were trying to make HCR neutral to us, to not attack us. They said like they're ally of UHC, and so we started incursion there from Kazakhstan. And then UHC helped to HCR. It is translated as Hacker Cosmic Reichskommissariat. And so there was some battles, some war, and there after that started some negotiations of peace, and I don't remember whether it was success. These negotiations were successful. And after that, in meme world, there were very little amount of players, partially due to UUGS, and also because I decided to don't be very active with Mykhailean Empire. And so there in the late autumn, UHC decided to conquer Crimea, which was in Mykhailean Empire, and so they declared war on us again, and we were kinda losing, as I remember, and then I don't remember what happened, but ME became isolated from meme world, we can say like that, and recently there happened coup, and Mykhailean Empire turned in Mykhailean Imperial Tea dictatorship, and it's because of this dictatorship there the official language became English instead of Ukrainian. That's